Welcome to JK Tells a Story, where real-life dramas unfold. Sit back and enjoy today's tale. A smile never left Sarah Mitchell's face as she drove her BMW X5 onto the busy Cleveland freeway. Despite knowing she would arrive home later than expected, she easily brushed it off, considering it just another consequence of Ohio's notorious rush hour traffic. The delay was nothing compared to the excitement Tyler had brought into her life. With almost a decade of age difference, Tyler was not only charming but also possessed undeniable appeal. Handsome, intelligent, a wonderful conversationalist with the energy of youth that gave Sarah a sense of vitality. Remembering her husband Jake, Sarah couldn't help feeling guilty about the secret affair. At 44, Jake didn't have the stamina Tyler did, but he made up for it with his experience and understanding of Sarah's needs, making their relationship incredibly fulfilling. After meeting Tyler, there was nothing better than going home and falling into Jake's arms, with the realization that she had the best of both worlds. Her smile grew even wider as she moved away from Cleveland's downtown. Thoughts of Tyler began to fade. Although he was exciting to be with, her heart belonged to Jake and their daughter Emma. Sarah was eager to spend more time with her loved ones. Now she felt satisfied and fulfilled in her personal relationships. She was aware of and accepted her emotions, knowing she could now be patient and affectionate with Jake, her amazing husband. Their daughter Emma was a talented athlete and capable student, with a wide range of friends from sports teams and school clubs. Emma's friends often gathered at their house on weekends, and Sarah enjoyed chatting with them. They seemed to admire her as a positive influence in their lives. Sarah made sure to always be impeccably dressed. As a senior sales manager at Cleveland Luxury Motors, she held a prestigious position in the automotive industry. Together with her husband Jake, who ran his family's thriving auto repair shop, they were a well-known and respected couple in their community. Despite his busy schedule, Jake always found time to attend all of their daughter Emma's school activities. Sarah treasured the moments when she sat next to Jake and watched their daughter shine on stage or on the field. She knew that several fathers couldn't help but look at her, but she couldn't help but notice that many mothers looked at Jake as if he were their target. Even when Sarah was sitting next to him, women still found ways to strike up conversations with him and flirt. Her attractive husband didn't seem to notice all this, but Sarah couldn't ignore it. After a long drive, Sarah parked in the garage and discovered that her husband's pickup truck was missing. Sarah was stunned by the unusual and unexpected situation she found herself in. After a difficult automotive conference and a tedious trip home, she hoped that her husband would meet her. But when she entered the empty house and went to the bedroom, she could not get rid of the feeling of anxiety that settled in her soul. It was almost time for dinner, and her family was still nowhere to be seen. Since Jake was never late from work and Emma was at school, they should have been home by now. Tomorrow was Thursday, and the thought of their absence only added to Sarah's growing sense of unease. Sarah unpacked her things and headed for the shower, thinking about the mysterious disappearance of Jake and Emma. She suddenly realized that her phone was turned off. It had been turned off since the previous evening. On the way home, she was lost in her thoughts and didn't even think about why no one had tried to contact her. Perhaps Jake was upset that she hadn't called and thanked him for the custom car accessories the night before. She had been so caught up in her emotions, fueled by Tyler's presence, that she had completely forgotten about Jake. After drying her hair with a towel, she turned on her phone. Jake couldn't help but feel proud of his clever and thoughtful idea of surprising his wife. He had known about the upcoming automotive conference in Cleveland for several months, since Sarah regularly attended them. It so happened that this particular conference coincided with the 20th anniversary of their wedding. A few weeks earlier, Jake had been offered a project to restore a vintage muscle car for a family from downtown Cleveland. After finishing a business conversation with client Frank Kowalski, Jake felt at ease and decided to share a new idea. "Frank, our anniversary will be on the 10th of next month. My wife will be at a conference downtown. I thought it would be a great surprise to treat her and her colleagues to a special dinner at one of the nearby restaurants. To make it even more memorable, I bought a custom keychain with our initials that I would like to deliver to her table during the meal, Jake said. My daughter could take over the organization of delivering the keychain to your wife. She's already in college and knows all the best places in the city, Frank suggested. I have special plans for the time of my wife's return home, Jake replied. Then, instead of relying on my daughter, why don't you accompany your wife to Cleveland yourself and personally hand over the keychain during dinner? Frank asked. I've offered to do this before, but Sarah always said she was too busy to spend time with me. Most likely she will have dinner late and immediately return to the hotel to rest before the next day. That's why I want to surprise her, Jake replied. It seemed ridiculous to Frank to come all this way and be ignored, given his official duties, but he had another idea. How about we treat my daughter and her friend to dinner in exchange for a live video on Instagram of them sitting at the table next to Sarah? Frank suggested. I'd like to see Sarah's reaction when she opens the box with the keychain inside, Jake replied. Frank agreed and said he would give his daughter contact information so they could surprise her. I'm sure she'll be happy to help with that, Frank assured Jake. Jake ordered some pizza for the 20th wedding anniversary party he was hosting at his house. Among the guests were his parents, Sarah's parents, his brother and sister-in-law, as well as Sarah's younger divorced sister. Everyone was looking forward to Sarah's appearance because Jake had prepared a special anniversary gift for her. In addition to the adult guests, Jake's 16-year-old daughter Emma and several of her friends were present at the celebration. Jake had prepared everything for a big surprise. A video was already ready on the big TV screen. Frank's daughter was sitting next to Sarah, trying not to arouse suspicion. She sent the video over Instagram Live unnoticed. She bribed the waiter to bring a gift to Sarah and her colleague Jessica as soon as they placed an order for food. Jake was looking forward to Sarah's reaction, watching what was happening in real time. He was beaming with delight as he explained, "This is going to be our best anniversary, even though we are miles away from each other." He made sure that no sound came from their side. "Wow, what a great idea!" Emma exclaimed. When Sarah appeared holding hands with a handsome young man, she asked, "Who is this guy with Mom? I thought she was supposed to be with Jessica." "I don't know who he is, but he seems to be a pretty close friend," Jake admitted with a shrug. Sarah's father made a disapproving sound and frowned at Jake's words. When the couple took their seats, everyone gathered around Jake's TV could easily hear their conversation. "Your husband is so generous that he treated us to dinner tonight. I will make sure that this anniversary is remembered, especially for you. It will definitely overshadow your honeymoon," the stranger said with a laugh. Sarah grinned back. "Then you'd better order a steak. You will need all your strength. Your honeymoon was unforgettable, wasn't it? Or did you have someone else then? Because I don't believe that your husband is so wonderful," the stranger replied, laughing all the time. Sarah expressed her gratitude by saying, "Jake did a great job. Thanks for asking. You're the only one I've been with in the last 20 years. Apart from Jake, of course." Fortunately, he's starting to slow down. Grinning, the man reassured Sarah. "The good news is that you're going to have a much more special 20th anniversary today than most women. I'll take care of it." Sarah's sister, feeling awkward, suggested, "Maybe we've seen enough. This is not quite right. Sarah doesn't know at all what we're watching and listening to. Why don't you turn off the video? We don't want to miss Sarah's reaction when she gets her keychain, do we? Let's watch their wonderful dinner for a while longer," Jake replied decisively, but with a red face from anger. While the couple was ordering, everyone heard Sarah call her companion Tyler. Then, as the waiter was taking away their menu, another waiter came up with a beautifully wrapped package. "Look, Jake probably sent a gift for my wedding anniversary," Sarah exclaimed. Sarah gasped with delight when she opened the package. "Oh, this is amazing," she exclaimed, holding out a custom keychain. "Will you help me put this on my keyring?" she asked Tyler. "Of course," he replied, carefully helping her attach the keychain. At the same time, his hands brushed against hers intimately. You have a very romantic husband, the woman at the next table remarked. You were very lucky to have such a thoughtful man. Absolutely, Tyler agreed, grinning. Sarah has a loving husband and a charming boyfriend. She glanced at Tyler, but the more experienced women just laughed at his remark. I gave you a beautiful watch yesterday, which I think suits you much better than this, Tyler teased, leaning down to kiss Sarah on the lips. That's the difference between a spouse and a lover, Sarah smiled mischievously. A girl with fiery red hair, who must have been Frank's daughter, sadly whispered, Husbands give us gifts, and lovers give us excitement. I can't do this anymore. She turned the phone around, her eyes filled with regret. I should have seen this coming, but I was too shocked to react. I'm sorry for everything. I'll delete it all from my phone. With a heavy heart, she stood up and said, It's time for me to leave. The TV turned off, and heavy silence reigned in the room. One of Emma's friends broke the silence with a hesitant voice. It's already quite dark. It's time to go home. I'll see you at school tomorrow. If I go at all, Emma said, her eyes filling with tears. Dad, can I go home with my friends? She asked, feeling the need to be with them at this moment. Of course, honey, we can talk about it tomorrow. Drive carefully, girls, Jake said in a hoarse whisper, his throat dry. Sarah's mother stood at a loss. I think we misunderstood the situation. Sarah genuinely cares about you, Jake, and she would do anything for Emma. Please don't act hastily, she said. The other guests gathered at Jake's shared his opinion and calmly discussed the problem. After thinking about it for a while, Jake came to a conclusion. I need time to think about everything. Please give me some time to think about my next step. You can all go now. As soon as the guests left, Jake began packing his suitcase, preparing for the upcoming trip. Meanwhile, Sarah was overwhelmed by the flood of messages and missed calls that awaited her after she turned off her phone the night before. When she scrolled through the notifications, she was horrified. Her sister and mother demanded answers to questions about Tyler and questioned her relationship with him. Accusations that she broke Jake's heart and upset Emma flooded all of her inboxes. Relatives bombarded her with dozens of messages each. Sarah flipped through her messages, hoping to see a message from Jake, but found nothing. She couldn't help but wonder how her family found out about Tyler and what they really knew. Where were Jake and Emma? How did she get out of the hole she was in? It was extremely important for her to find out the extent of Jake's awareness as well as what he only suspected. Sarah came to the conclusion that she needed to talk to her family to assess the seriousness of her situation. Taking a deep breath, she dialed her mom's number. Mom, it's me, she said, preparing for the difficult conversation ahead. Sarah tried to stay calm and began, I completely forgot that I turned off my phone last night. I noticed that you tried to contact me. Is everything okay? Her mom answered sharply, Is everything okay? Oh, only if you think that losing your husband, losing your daughter, humiliating your parents, and behaving like a loose woman is the norm for you. I don't think it bothers you too much because you're happy to show off a gorgeous keychain from your boyfriend. Sarah retorted that Jake had given her a custom keychain for their anniversary. You take us for fools. Your father and I understand perfectly well what you were talking about with your lover. We're not too old not to understand your hints, her mother replied. Mom, what makes you think that I would do something like that? What makes you think I have a boyfriend? Sarah asked, feeling a knot of fear tighten in her stomach. Don't play games with me. I'm not stupid, her mother growled. Jake kindly invited us home to witness the grand opening of his gift for your 20th wedding anniversary. He had the foresight to book a table for you and your colleague Jessica. The scene was quite revealing as we watched everything that was happening. You mentioned that husbands give gifts and lovers give excitement, her mother said. Sarah was stunned and asked if she had heard correctly. Jake arranged with his friend's daughter to broadcast live from her phone, she replied. He wanted us to see your delight at his gift. Then we plan to call and congratulate you on your anniversary, her mother said, and there was sadness in her voice. It looks like this could be your last anniversary, at least with Jake. Maybe when everything calms down, you can see your lover again, she added sarcastically. Mom, you know I love Jake. This other man means nothing to me. It was just a way to pass the time. These conferences were incredibly boring. Sarah tried to justify herself. Her mother grumbled. Jake will feel much better knowing that his wife is not a cheater but just a bored housewife. Sarah rolled her eyes at her insults. How are you going to convince Jake that he's the only man you love if you haven't even convinced me? The mother asked. It looks like I have a lot of work to do, Sarah replied, looking at her with disdain. That man is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, the mother said coldly. Sarah doubted that Jake found the situation any better. After talking to her mother, she remembered that her whole family had witnessed a conversation with Tyler during dinner the night before. Remembering her conversation with Tyler, Sarah was acutely aware of the gravity of her situation. Deciding that she needed someone to talk to, she turned to Emma. Emma, Sarah asked, where are you? I'm with Morgan, Emma answered the phone. She's trying to comfort me while I come to terms with the fact that my family is falling apart, the daughter replied. Emma, your father and I are not ending our relationship. Please come home so that we can discuss everything. By the way, where's your father? Sarah asked cautiously. He moved into the cabin by the lake. I don't think he wants to see you. He was thrilled last night when he invited everyone to watch you open your gift. His heart broke when you came with your lover and not with Jessica, Emma replied. Please come home, Sarah begged desperately, hoping to find the right words to make amends to her daughter and husband. Sarah's heart began to race as she looked around the house. Jake's office had no laptop, no filing cabinets, and looked empty and abandoned. Even the closet in his bedroom was empty. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she walked through the house, noting all the missing items. The absence of their photographs only increased the feeling of hopelessness. Trying to take her mind off her failed marriage, Sarah decided to cook dinner for Emma. By the time Emma got home, Sarah had prepared a small dinner, but Emma looked distant and only answered Sarah's questions briefly. Sarah admitted that her daughter had every right to be offended by her, but hoped that over time the tension between them would at least decrease. At dawn the next morning, Sarah walked into their lake house and found Jake hunched uncomfortably on a small couch, fast asleep. The floor was littered with empty beer cans. Jake, dear, we need to talk. Can you wake up, please? She begged. Jake slowly opened his eyes with a groan and, without saying a word, headed for the bathroom. Resigned, Sarah decided to make coffee while waiting for her husband to return. After a while, Jake, who had just taken a shower, returned to the kitchen where Sarah was waiting for him. She put the mug in front of him, hoping that he would finally start the difficult conversation she had been waiting for. But it quickly became clear that Jake was not interested in opening up. Jake, I'm really sorry about what happened. I really appreciate the keychain that you gave me. It's very dear to me. It's just a pity that I didn't know you were gathering our family at home. It would be nice if you informed me about this, Sarah said. Jake answered sharply and harshly, Don't you dare talk to me. Nothing is going to help our relationship. Jake added, his anger simmering at Sarah's attempt to portray him as an abuser. Sarah, stunned by Jake's uncharacteristic tone, felt the pain of realizing how much hurt she had caused him. Calming down, Sarah replied, Tell me, what should I do to fix this? You're the only man I've ever loved, and that hasn't changed. Together we can handle this. Tell me, what problem are you trying to solve? Is it a problem that I surprised you with an anniversary gift at a nice restaurant where I booked a table for you and your colleague? Or is it that my client's daughter agreed to send a video recording of your reaction? Perhaps the problem lies in my mistaken belief that you would appreciate this gift. Please clarify this issue so that I can understand what you're talking about, Jake asked calmly. You know what the problem is, Sarah said firmly. Why do you think this is a problem? Jake asked. You know perfectly well why this is a problem. At first I told you I was going to dinner with Jessica, but I ended up going with Tyler. You overheard our conversation and found out that we were involved. That's the problem we need to solve, Sarah replied desperately. So the problem is that I, like your whole family, overheard your conversation? Jake asked to clarify the situation. Or maybe the problem is that you're getting into relationships with other men? Jake persisted in asking questions. Sarah's cheeks turned red when she realized that defensiveness wasn't helping her. I tried to take care of you on our anniversary. You didn't do anything to deserve this. Now explain why you've been cheating for so long and with how many men. Is Emma my biological daughter? Jake asked. Maybe her father was the mailman? Jake asked sarcastically. Sarah, clearly taken aback, replied. There's no reason to be rude or offensive. Emma is definitely your daughter. Tyler has been my only partner since we started dating. Your comment about my past lovers and the suggestion that Emma's father is a mailman were just rude. It's difficult for me to understand your reasoning. Do you admit that you were unfaithful but refuse to admit the extent of your promiscuity? Jake replied. You expect me to be polite and understanding as well as naive when you admit that you're a woman who cheats around? Are you proud that you cheat on me only occasionally? And what about Tyler? How long have you been involved with him and how often? You conveniently omitted these details when you were trying to clear your name, Jake shouted. Tyler and I were intimate only 3 times, Sarah confessed tearfully, finally realizing the extent of Jake's anger. Besides you, he's the only man I've been intimate with since we got married 2 decades ago. We spent 2 nights together at each of the 3 conferences, Sarah said. Have you been anywhere else with him? Asked Jake. No, this has only happened a total of 6 times, and I sincerely regret it. I owe you an apology, Sarah replied. Are you saying that a young guy like Tyler can only be with you once a night? Jake asked. Why did you involve yourself with another man? Jake asked, disappointed. Was our relationship so bad that you had to seek pleasure elsewhere? Sarah explained that she was bored and vulnerable, and he persistently pursued her. It's not about you, she reassured him. I made a mistake. It's not about you or our closeness. It's more about my vanity or maybe a midlife crisis. He doesn't mean anything to me. I promise you, Sarah said. You were in a relationship with a man who meant nothing to you? Jake repeated. We just had an affair. He was attractive, but nothing more, Sarah clarified. So he's not important to you at all? Jake asked. Jake continued. You confessed to me that you were involved with a man you didn't care about. Does our neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, fall into this category? Why not give yourself to him? Sarah, feeling foolish, replied. I never said that I get involved with every man who means nothing to me. Tyler attracted me with his looks, charm, and achievements. He was courting me. But does that mean I'll only have intimate relationships with attractive, successful men who court me? Does that, with rare exceptions, make me an unfaithful wife? If you don't have feelings for the men you date, then you don't love me either, Jake asked. No, I admit I made a huge mistake, and I promise it won't happen again, Sarah said, her voice full of emotion. I love you, not Tyler. How can I be sure of that? Jake asked softly. At our wedding and many times after, you swore to be faithful to me. You're stunning, successful, and men will always pursue you. I don't know if I can trust you, Jake said. You won't be able to satisfy me in the way I want, but don't doubt my love for you. Our intimate moments are special to me, and I feel cherished, Sarah assured him. Jake asked her why she kept going back to Tyler. Sarah admitted that with Tyler she felt special, not just a mother or a wife. It wasn't love that attracted her to him, but the excitement of doing something forbidden. Jake was trying to figure out why she would do more for a man who meant nothing to her. Jake thought about the words he had said for the person you love, he reasoned. Memories of their honeymoon came back to him when she promised to love only him. Jake recalled this moment with a sense of resentment, wondering if he and Tyler had exchanged secret jokes about him. But Sarah reassured him by saying that Tyler never spoke ill of Jake. "I would never let that happen," Sarah confirmed. But Jake couldn't shake the memory of overhearing a conversation in which he was repeatedly insulted, and Sarah seemed to agree with that. "I can't erase it from my memory," Jake whispered, feeling a mixture of confusion and pain in his heart. Jake suddenly came to his senses and spoke. "Why are we wasting our time here at all? You found someone new. Fine. I guess I need to find someone too. Why pretend you want to stay married? It's pretty obvious you didn't enjoy being my wife, and let's not even talk about it," he confessed. "You're beautiful, successful, and smart, and I didn't bring anything. It was only a matter of time before you started looking for something better. I swore to give you a better 20th anniversary than most wives, and I did. So it's time to move on. Congratulations, you found what you were looking for," he added. "Jake, we can't let this conversation end on such a sour note. We have to communicate and find a solution," Sarah pleaded, tears in her eyes. "You can ask your lawyer to contact mine. Our relationship is over, Sarah. I'm filing for divorce. You pushed me to this," Jake said. That day, Sarah went to work, but in the break room she ran into an angry Jessica. "Why did Jake ask me about how you went to Cleveland for a conference?" Jessica asked, feeling hurt. "You know I stopped going after you started spending nights with that Romeo from the Chicago office. I don't want to be used as a cover for your infidelity. Jake called me. What did you tell him?" Sarah asked, feeling depressed. "I told him the truth, that I didn't go to the last 2 conferences. I thought you told him that we were going to share a room and attend conferences together," Sarah replied resentfully. Jessica looked at her with disdain, feeling cheated. "I'm shocked that I'm being used in this way," Jessica said. "It won't happen again. Jake found out about my whole trip. I think he's going to leave me," Sarah confessed. "Did you think it would happen after that? No noble person would tolerate such mistreatment," Jessica replied to her. "I was stupid and selfish. I didn't think about the consequences of Jake finding out the truth, and now he's gone," Sarah said sadly. "Don't you realize that your actions when you got involved with that disgusting man from Chicago sealed your fate?" Jessica said, this time with a note of disgust. Jessica spoke in a softer tone. "I'm sorry that you lost Jake, but I tried to warn you about this outcome. I want you to know that I didn't tell him myself, if that's what you're thinking. I understand, Jessica. I owe you an apology. I took advantage of our friendship. I'm sorry I didn't take your advice, but I thought I knew better. Jake deserves better than me," Sarah replied. After learning about Sarah's infidelity, Jake decided to take a day off from work. He decided to move all his belongings to the lake house before Sarah returned. He didn't want to listen to her excuses and apologies for her betrayal. The thought of having to live without Sarah saddened him, but he couldn't accept her callous disregard for his emotions and indifference to loyalty and respect. Her unexpected appearance the next day only underlined the huge emotional distance between them. She offered no explanation that would help him forget her infidelity. The day after meeting with the lawyer, he was preparing to leave the office to meet with the divorce lawyer when a new email appeared in his inbox. It was from Sarah. A wave of indecision swept over him. He wondered whether to read this email or just delete it. After some internal reflection, he decided to open it. Sarah, in her usual direct manner, had already answered the question. When he read her message, he was overcome by a feeling of despair. "Jake, I know I screwed up big time," she wrote. "I made the mistake of thinking that I could hide my actions from you and that they would not hurt you. I was stupid to think that lying and cheating wouldn't affect our marriage. You deserve honesty and respect. I am truly sorry, and I hope that you will find the strength in your heart to forgive me. I will not interfere with the decisions you make regarding our marriage. I love you, and I want the best for you. You are a wonderful man, husband, and father. I take full responsibility for what happened. I admit the truth, although I regret the harm I have caused to our relationship. Despite all the doubts, my love for you remains unshakable. Sarah's words of confession and her sincere request for forgiveness deeply affected Jake. It was typical of her to take responsibility for her mistakes. By thinking about the situation, she was an unwavering woman who made high demands on herself and others. Jake was overwhelmed with grief and did not consider it necessary to reply to her email. Ever since Sarah showed up at Jake's lake house that morning, Emma had been the only one who could say anything to Jake. On Friday afternoon, Emma informed Sarah that she would spend the weekend at her father's cabin, and Jake would bring her home on Sunday evening. Sarah realized that this had become the new normal for her. The weekend passed in agony as she reflected on the mess she had made in her life and didn't know how to fix it. Had she done irreparable damage to her once happy marriage? When Emma returned home on Sunday evening, she looked depressed. Dad wants a divorce. He can't bear to be with a woman who no longer respects him. I saw him crying several times over the weekend, which had never happened before. Do you understand the pain you caused him? Emma informed her. Feeling the full weight of her actions, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if her lover was really better than her husband. I never meant to offend your father. No one can compare to him, Sarah said softly. It was a serious mistake, and I'm very sorry. Your father is really the most wonderful person I've ever known. Please forgive us both for our doubts, Sarah said. Emma's tone was accusatory. This isn't the first time you've met this man, is it? You've been hiding this from us for years. Sarah realized that she could no longer maintain this facade. I was involved with him at 3 previous conferences. It was a mistake, and I deeply regret it. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Is that all you want to say, Mom? You betrayed your father in the most terrible way. Didn't you promise to be faithful when you married him? Did you secretly hope that it wouldn't matter? Emma said angrily. I understand that you're upset with me, but I'm even more upset with myself, Sarah said. Dad is a wonderful man and a wonderful father. You know, Emma almost screamed. What I have done does not reflect my attitude towards him. It was a mistake, Sarah said reluctantly. I miss you, Emma, Sarah confessed. Emma simply replied, whatever you say, and then retired to her room. When their relationship became strained, Sarah found solace in work, but even there she couldn't escape Jessica's cold attitude towards her. Attending Emma's school events only emphasized the distance between them, as Sarah often sat alone unless accompanied by her mother. Jake's presence at these events only increased her discomfort, as he tried to keep his distance from her. Other parents couldn't help but notice the tension between them. The news of their impending divorce spread quickly, with Sarah eavesdropping on inappropriate comments from fathers, both single and married, who knew that rumors of her infidelity had reached society. Meanwhile, Jake plunged into his work, finding solace in his business amid the chaos. Ironically, Sarah ended up getting half of the business, although Jake's lawyer tried various strategies to mitigate the situation. Sarah was stunned when the lawyer informed her that Jake had decided to give her half of his share in the business. It was an unexpected turn of events, especially considering that just a few years earlier, Jake's close friend Mark had made a deal to buy into the company during the financial crisis. Jake insisted that without Sarah's contribution, they would have nothing to live on. The court could not deny the truthfulness of his words. Mark, as a silent partner, owned 1/3 of the company, but by transferring half of their joint ownership to Sarah, Jake found himself in a situation where he owned and controlled only 1/3 of the business. Sarah told her lawyer that this was unfair to Jake since he was the one who had invested all his time and energy in the business. She suggested that if Jake insisted on giving her a share, Then she was ready to agree to 1/10 of their property. This way, Jake would be able to maintain control of the business without potential disputes. Jake turned out to be incredibly stubborn. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't even get Jake to talk to her on the phone. He completely cut her out of his life. Meanwhile, Emma expressed a desire to spend the summer at the lake house between junior and senior years of school. Sarah realized that this was another way for Emma to punish her and reluctantly agreed that she deserved her daughter's offense. Jake was very pleased with this result. He carefully developed plans to expand the cabin, increasing its area by almost half. Having experience in construction, he quickly completed the project. By the end of July, the cabin had turned into a spacious lake house with 3 bedrooms, each with its own luxurious bathroom and a picturesque view of the lake. The modernized interior created a cozy and welcoming atmosphere. To celebrate this event, on the first weekend of August, Jake organized an open house at the lake for his friends and neighbors, inviting all of Emma's friends. Mark arrived with one of his acquaintances, whom Jake couldn't help but notice. She was a bright blonde who looked amazing in her modest 2-piece swimsuit. Throughout the day, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that she was constantly around, laughing at his jokes and flirting with him at every opportunity. When Jake and Emma were alone in the kitchen, Emma couldn't resist teasing him. "Well, Dad, were you tempted by Melissa's little bikini?" Emma asked with a grin. Jake quickly protested. "Of course not. She doesn't look more than 25 years old, but I'm still not ready to start dating. She's actually 27, and she seems very interested in you. She's already asking about your age, profession, everything that women usually find out about potential partners," Emma said with a knowing smile on her face. "I just met her today. Please don't even bring up the subject of dating. I've been there before and once was more than enough," Jake replied. "I'm not hinting at anything, but it looks like she might be interested. I wouldn't mind if you went on a date with her. She's very sweet, and it would be good for you to have someone to lean on while you deal with the breakup," Emma said. "Thanks for bringing me up to date," Jake joked, turning to his daughter. "I don't think an attractive girl like her would be interested in an old guy like me, but I appreciate that you believe in me," he added. Sarah's office was located on the top 2 floors of a busy office building in the heart of the business district. A little further down the block, there was a favorite Italian bistro where there were always a lot of visitors. Every Thursday, Sarah and a few of her friends from work would gather there for lunch. This informal tradition led to the fact that they began to cross paths with familiar faces, as they often met the same people enjoying a midday meal. Through these chance encounters, Sarah and her colleagues struck up friendships with employees of other companies located in the building. One busy day, there were a lot of customers in the bistro, and Sarah's group found themselves without a table. Fortunately, an employee of Benson Advertising Agency, located on the 2nd floor of her building, invited them to join at a large table. Graciously accepting the invitation, Sarah and her group joined the advertising team. As introductions by first and last names took place, the conversation quickly flowed in the right direction. One woman from the advertising group stood out for her beauty and friendly behavior. Sarah felt attracted to the young woman's infectious good humor. When the other ladies playfully teased her, a smile appeared on her face. "Not every one of us is a rich girl with a mansion on the lake," joked Mary, her colleague. "It must be wonderful to wake up when the sun is shining on the water," said another colleague. Sarah was silent, listening with interest to their conversation. The girl nodded in agreement and added, "Especially when you have a handsome man next to you. Getting out of bed is never easy." Another woman noticed, "If it's the same man, I think his name is Jake, who picked you up after work on Thursday, then I understand why this might be a problem." She noted that Jake looks a little older than the girl, but apparently is in good physical shape. The girl replied with a smile, "Jake is everything and even more. He is a kind man and a wonderful partner." Then Sarah's friend asked the question that Sarah had been avoiding, "Are you talking about Jake Mitchell?" "Yeah. Do you know Jake?" Melissa asked. He's pretty amazing, don't you think? He was my husband. I think we should change the subject, her colleague replied. Sarah, leaning towards the young woman, declined the offer. Don't be so dramatic, Sarah insisted, holding out her hand. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I didn't catch your name. Melissa Lawson, the beauty replied sheepishly. Jake had called his ex-wife a beauty, but Melissa thought he was just blinded by love. It turned out that she underestimated all her advantages. I hope you're not upset that I'm living with Jake now, Melissa asked. I can't blame you for this. You are a beautiful young woman with an amazing figure. I can easily understand why Jake likes you, Sarah replied. She also added, I wonder why Emma never told me anything about you. I can't speak for Emma, Sarah shrugged. You did a great job raising your daughter. She is smart, kind, and beautiful just like you. I'm always glad when she comes to visit us, Melissa praised. Later at dinner, Sarah asked Emma, why didn't you mention that a beautiful woman moved in with your father? I'd like to know. I didn't mean to upset you, Mom. I know how you feel about Dad, Emma explained. It still hurts me that you were unfaithful to him, but I don't want to cause you more suffering because of your wrong decisions. Melissa, on the contrary, is happy with Dad, said the daughter. It looks like he's finally found happiness again, and strangely enough, I'm glad to hear that. Jake is doing well. He is a kind and decent person who should be with someone who really cares about him, even if that woman is not me. She may not be head over heels in love with your father, but Melissa loves him very much. She has made it clear that her career is her top priority in the coming years, Sarah said. She has a strong desire to achieve great success in marketing, Sarah added. Mom, when are you going to start dating? Did you talk to your boyfriend after the conferences? Do you think you'll get along with him? Emma asked. Sarah confessed, Tyler is not the kind of person I would like to have a relationship with. He is shallow, impolite, selfish, and vain. I only saw him as a source of entertainment. I did not know that he would make my life miserable. Although I perfectly understood his true nature, I shouldn't be mad at him for my vulnerabilities, Sarah confessed. Do you have feelings for anyone? You're as amazing as ever. I've noticed that fathers and teachers admire you and try to be polite to you at school events, Emma asked. To be honest, I think Jake has set the bar too high for other men. The circumstances of our separation are not a secret to society. It makes women love your father and men see me as an easy target, Sarah confessed with a melancholy smile. It may have been easy for Tyler, but I won't fall into this trap anymore, she added sadly. Emma couldn't understand how anyone could betray their husband, especially if he always showed her love and respect. What happened? Why did everything go wrong? The daughter asked. Sarah confessed, I've been agonizing over this question myself. I think I've come to take your father for granted. I was sure of his love for me, and perhaps this made me seek solace in another man, knowing that a stable relationship awaited me at home. Jake was my rock. He was always there for me when I needed him. I naively believed that he would never leave me, no matter what happened. I could have gone off course, and he didn't even notice, still waiting for me at home. I hope you'll find a partner like Jake when you're ready to settle down and learn from my mistakes. Don't take more in a relationship than you give. Stay loyal and honest. If you have any doubts or fears, talk about them with your spouse. I am a living example of the consequences of deception and betrayal, Sarah said, tears streaming down her face. During lunch, sometimes Sarah bumped into Melissa, and surprisingly, she liked this woman. She felt uncomfortable with how eagerly Melissa awaited any news about Jake. Jake's daughter Emma was hesitant to share many details about her father with Sarah, believing that some aspects of his personal life were non-negotiable. Melissa, on the other hand, was eager to discuss Jake with her friends. One day during lunch, Melissa noticed, It's pretty obvious that you still love Jake, Melissa suggested. He never spoke ill of you, but it's obvious that you took his words to heart. I'm not going to judge you, but I have to admit that I personally would never betray a person in a relationship. I find it hard to believe that you did this, she said. Your actions and words have always demonstrated love and respect for him. When the passion subsides and everyday life begins, it is important to remember this. I went off the right path and faced the consequences. Love is not always a stormy passion and luxurious travel, Sarah replied. Deciding to pump out the septic tank or choosing the color of paint for the house sometimes seems like minor, mundane decisions, but this is only a part of life. On the other hand, Jake is a reliable businessman, a devoted friend, and a wonderful father. I will always love him, despite the fact that I betrayed him in the most unforgivable way a wife is capable of. I've learned my lesson, although it's probably too late, Sarah said. Last night I plucked up the courage and told Jake that I had accepted a job offer in Seattle and would be leaving in just 2 weeks. This is a fantastic opportunity for me, and I hope that in the end he will understand and forgive me, Melissa said unexpectedly. I made it clear from the very beginning that my career is my top priority. This news upset him. I'm telling you this so that you can understand his feelings and maybe support him if he gets upset. He's a really wonderful person, but in the end, he's not the one I need, Melissa explained. I'm sure he's going to miss you very much, Sarah said, assuring Melissa that Jake doesn't make decisions lightly. If he invited you to live with him, it shows that he appreciates not only your appearance but also your character, Sarah added. He's a resilient man, and he stands up to everything, Melissa said. I put him to the test, but he proved his worth. He showed his best side. Jake will miss me, but he's a wonderful catch. I doubt his bed will be empty for a long time, Sarah said, expressing her admiration and smiling slightly. Melissa smiled back. That's why I wanted to give you this information first. What you decide to do with it is up to you. Just a week later, Jake's best friend and business partner Mark asked Sarah to meet him for lunch at the bistro. The room was full of people, but they managed to get a small table in the corner. After exchanging pleasantries, Mark got straight to the point. He mentioned the land Jake had purchased on a highway by the river and said he had a potential buyer offering almost $2 million for it. Jake bought the land for a nominal sum, so the profit was significant. Mark estimated that the third share would be more than $500,000. Jake has always believed that the land has great potential for value growth, but the question remains, would you want to sell it? Sarah asked, not understanding what role she was playing in this conversation. That's the point, Mark replied. He expressed confidence that the company would receive more benefits if it offered a long-term lease. He suggested specifying in the contract that his company undertakes to build premises on an individual order in accordance with the needs of the tenant's business. That sounds like Jake, Sarah admitted, amazed at his business acumen. I am sure that he has calculated all the numbers, and as a result, his strategy will lead to increased profits, she added. So what's the problem? Sarah asked. I think we should focus on making a quick profit from the sale of the land. Although long-term planning is important, I prefer to get the money immediately. You and I each own 1/3 of the company shares, so if we work together, we can put pressure on Jake to accept the offer and then distribute our share of the profits. Jake will not be harmed. Moreover, he will receive $500,000 in cash to smooth over the situation, Mark replied. Sarah felt her frustration grow as she listened to Mark's suggestion. Are you really asking me to betray Jake's trust? Do you really think that money is more important to me than Jake's feelings? Sarah asked incredulously. Let me clarify something for you. Jake will perceive this as a huge betrayal. I'm a part of his own wife and closest friend. It would be the highest degree of disloyalty towards him, she added angrily. Even worse than if his wife cheated on him with a young man at a conference, right? Mark chuckled. You didn't just become his ex-wife. You've already betrayed him by cheating on him, which led to your divorce. It's just an opportunity for you to take, he added, finishing his coffee. Mark thought they could make a lot of money if they pursued this affair. Trying to play the role of a faithful wife doesn't suit you, he said. Sarah responded with pent-up anger, admitting that her betrayal of Jake was stupid and selfish. She acknowledged Jake's superiority and expressed remorse for her actions. Sarah had vowed never to betray Jake again and was ready to give all her money just not to cause him such pain. I realized that I could not cope with the role of a wife, and now you have shown me that you are not suitable for friends or partners. Jake will control my share of the company as long as I'm alive. I'll even update the will so that he gets my share after my death. Don't doubt his business skills. He knows more than you can imagine, Sarah said, her voice full of anger as she stood up and left money on the table for her untouched lunch. Then she looked into Mark's eyes and warned him not to try that again. It had been almost a month when Sarah finally opened the door and saw Jake standing on the porch. She was stunned by his sudden appearance because he had been avoiding her since she returned from the disastrous conference. Jake, come in. Is everything okay? Sarah asked with surprise in her voice. Emma left a few minutes ago if you're looking for her. Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement at Jake's unexpected visit. I came to talk if you have time, Jake began, entering the familiar house that had been his home for more than 15 years. Could you spare me a few minutes? I'm not busy right now, Sarah replied quickly. I just made coffee. Why don't we sit in the kitchen? I am grateful to you for accepting me so quickly, Jake said, taking a mug of coffee. You always make great coffee. Sarah grinned and replied, when we first got married, I didn't even know how to make it. It took me a while to master it. Jake objected. I didn't marry you for coffee. There were other qualities in you that I found much more attractive, said Jake. I've never heard you call them qualities, Sarah said, still smiling. Yes, you have serious strengths, and I couldn't help but get carried away with you, Jake admitted. Melissa must have completely captivated you with her charms. There is definitely a strong chemistry between you, Sarah remarked. She admires you very much. Her high opinion of you is one of the main reasons why I'm here. Recently, one of her friends overheard your conversation with Mark at lunch. Melissa told me about it before she left for the West Coast. She was impressed by your dedication and honesty. I must admit I share her opinion. Even though I mistreated you during the divorce, you still stubbornly rejected Mark. Many women in your place would take revenge after their husband left them so quickly, Jake said. But I would never do that to you, Jake, Sarah replied. I am well aware of the dedication and diligence with which you invest money in your projects, and I understand how important they are to you. I have no doubt that you will be able to get more income from this land than Mark expects. I firmly believe that he underestimates you, Sarah said. Your trust in me means a lot, and Melissa helped me come to terms with the fact that you are my equal partner, despite my previous behavior when I ran the business as if it belonged only to me. I understand that it's important for you to have a voice and share your ideas, Jake admitted. If you are interested in selling the property and sharing the profits, invite me. Mark is putting pressure on me. I suspect that he needs money, said Jake. Mark believes that if we sell the land, then each of us can get $500,000 without causing any harm, Sarah replied. What do you think about it? Jake asked. I have a feeling that you have great plans for this site, which can not only bring significant profits to the company but also earn respect in society, Sarah replied with a sense of pride, noting that Jake never chased after quick earnings. You are not only an experienced businessman but also deeply committed to society. This quality distinguishes you from people like Mark, for whom quick profits are more important than influencing society, Sarah said. I heard that Mark approached you with an idea, but you refused to support it, Jake said thoughtfully. Jake, I completely trust you in your decisions. You always deserve my trust, and I will support you in all your business endeavors, Sarah assured him. It may seem strange to hear this from me, knowing that you don't trust me, but it's true. I've been thinking about Mark's attempts to interfere in your business. It occurred to me that we should think about buying him out. If he does not have the means, he can agree to a fair offer. Then he will be happy, and you can continue to run things the way you want, Sarah suggested. I've thought about it, but I don't have the money for it, Jake admitted. We can sell the house. I could rent a nice 2-bedroom apartment for myself and Emma. Over the years, we have accumulated significant capital. The house is almost fully paid off, and you've made some significant improvements. Thanks to this, we should have enough funds to buy out Mark's share, Sarah said. Now that we're divorced, the house belongs to you. Are you ready to sell it and invest in the business? Jake asked skeptically. I'm not sure when I'll be able to make a deal to build an emergency center. I can't promise that you will make a profit on your investments in the near future, or at all, Jake added. Should I worry? Sarah's eyes narrowed. Don't forget, we've been married for 2 decades. You will definitely pay me the interest, and if for some reason you can't, it's okay. I owe you one. Money won't fix my restlessness, but it will help you get rid of Mark, Sarah said with a smile. Jake suggested, if you move in with Emma and me at the lake house, I'll agree. You'll have your own room and bathroom. Sarah replied sadly, as good as it sounds, I don't think it's going to work. It's a matter of privacy. Jake apologized, admitting that he hadn't thought about the possible drama that a date might bring to Sarah's life. He understood that the appearance of a new partner in the house where her ex-husband lives, especially Tyler, would be awkward. Sarah assured him that she was not interested in dating and had made a conscious decision to avoid it, especially after the disastrous trip with Tyler. She noted, it's very unlikely that any woman would want to stay with you overnight while your ex is sleeping in the next room. Even if you were in my house, it's very unlikely to find a woman who would agree to live with her, although I can't completely rule out that possibility, Jake replied. In the past, I've witnessed women falling in love with you, Sarah replied. I ended our marriage because you cheated on me with that man, and then I let Melissa move in with me. My actions weren't a good example for Emma, were they? My only excuse is that I've been struggling with depression and loneliness, Jake mused aloud. My self-confidence suffered when another man took my wife away from me, but Melissa helped me restore it, Jake added sadly. I'm sorry that I hurt your ego, and I wish this had never happened. I don't blame you for getting carried away with Melissa. She's a wonderful woman. You are single and free to pursue any relationship you want. I understand that I have never apologized for my actions. It was my mistake, and I take full responsibility for it. I ruined everything, and I'm really sorry, Sarah said with a tremor in her voice. I deeply apologize for the pain and inconvenience caused to you, she said, lowering her head. Sarah, you really hurt me. I have always been devoted to you. I've dedicated my life to you and Emma. I've gone from feeling like I have everything to feeling like a complete failure. Melissa helped me realize that while I may not have been the perfect husband, I wasn't the reason for your infidelity. If you weren't satisfied with our marriage or our intimate life, you could have told me about it. I would have done everything in my power to fix the situation if I had known, Jake admitted. I was stupid, Jake, but I wasn't unhappy. You were an amazing husband, a fantastic father to Emma, and a passionate partner. I lost my way, and I think I deserve to feel unhappy. Strangely, I find a strange sense of satisfaction in my suffering. It's like I'm atoning for my mistakes, Sarah confessed. Why don't you at least come and see the lake house? I would appreciate your thoughts and opinions on it, Jake said. I've incorporated some of the concepts we've been talking about all these years into our rebuilding projects. I think you'll be happy with the result, Jake suggested. Emma has a volleyball match in a couple of hours. Can I take advantage of this offer at a later time? Sarah asked. Let's take a look at it before the game. We can go together. I can drop you there, Jake offered. Aren't you afraid that people might think we're back together if we come together? You usually sit as far away from me as possible, Sarah said. I may have behaved badly, but in my defense, I will say that you also treated me badly in our marriage. To be honest, I was more lenient with you than you probably would have been with me in the same situation, Jake admitted. We both know that your settlement offer was too generous, Sarah replied. It seems that your kindness has done you good. We're thinking of selling the house to buy out Mark's share, Jake complained. I can't believe you're ready to do this, he said. Jake, you can take whatever you want. You've always been honest with me, and I trust you completely. And even though I know I deserve it, I know you won't hurt me, Sarah said, squeezing his hand. Let me show you the lake house, Jake suggested, to change the subject and give himself time to calm his emotions. When he showed Sarah the house, she was amazed at the remodeling. You really did a fantastic job, she said. Emma's spacious room has a private bathroom that many teenage girls would envy. When Jake brought Sarah into the second bedroom, she realized it was time to bring up an unpleasant topic. The room was beautiful, with an equally impressive bathroom, but Sarah couldn't accept the idea of staying here. I can't live here, Jake, she said. Seeing you every day is just a painful reminder of what I've lost. Let's sell the house and I'll find an apartment. I'll be fine. We have to go to Emma's game soon, Sarah reminded. Jake insisted. Let me give you a tour of the master bedroom. It's the biggest one in the house. I'm sure you'll be impressed. It's just amazing. Sarah admired the room and praised Jake. You always do such a fantastic job. Thanks to your attention to detail, your business is booming. Jake asked, if you had this room, would you agree to stay with me and Emma? I can't imagine not seeing you every day. I didn't want the house to belong only to me. I was hoping that we could share it, Jake explained, his voice clearly showing nervous tension. Sarah raised her eyebrows in surprise, studying Jake's face. So you're suggesting we share your bed? She asked incredulously. Ever since I found out about your infidelity and left, I feel terrible. I miss you terribly, to the point that sometimes it causes me physical pain. You made a huge mistake, and although your relationship with Melissa eased the pain of your betrayal for a while, it couldn't completely erase it, Jake said. I hope that we can overcome all this negativity and restore our relationship. I will not allow myself to be used anymore, Jake stated firmly. If you plan to continue punishing me, I will not tolerate it. If I do decide to return, I will be faithful to you and expect the same from you. No more other women in your life. It's either me or nothing, Sarah replied. I have worked tirelessly to regain my self-esteem, and I will not let it disappear, Jake said. I care about you, Jake, but we have to be on the same page. Otherwise, I'm leaving, Sarah insisted. Emma was stunned when her parents suddenly entered the hall together. Quickly approaching them, she urgently whispered, Mom, Dad, what does this mean? Before she could finish her question, Jake smiled and nodded. Overwhelmed with emotion, Emma hugged her mother tightly and whispered in her ear, Welcome home, Mom. I love you, but please don't ever cheat on Dad again. You have always had a desire to improve in this area and at the same time receive a decent income. Do you have any plans for this property? Sarah asked. Jake admitted that he is negotiating with the main hospital to conclude a long-term lease agreement for the construction of an emergency care center on this site. It may not be as profitable as the luxury condominium project that Mark's company stands for, but it will still bring decent profits and provide a guaranteed construction contract. This company will not only provide an opportunity to find jobs, but will also contribute to developing positive relationships in society, Jake replied. Sarah replied somewhat smugly, I had a feeling it would be something like that. 3 months later, Sarah stood in the kitchen of their rebuilt lake house, watching through the window as Jake taught Emma how to change the oil in her first car, a used Honda Civic they'd bought together as a family. The sight filled her with a warmth she'd almost forgotten she could feel. The emergency care center project had been approved, and Jake's company was already breaking ground. The steady income from the long-term lease had allowed them to buy out Mark's share entirely, and Jake now had full control of his business vision. Sarah had kept her promise. There were no more conferences with Tyler, no more secret phone calls, no more lies. She'd even changed her phone number and informed her company that she would no longer attend out-of-state automotive conferences, preferring to focus on local clients and building relationships within their community. The dashboard camera that had revealed her betrayal now served a different purpose. Jake had installed a new system in all their vehicles, but this time it was about safety, not surveillance. Trust, they both knew, would take time to rebuild completely, but they were committed to the journey. Emma had blossomed in the months since her parents' reconciliation. Her grades improved, her smile returned, and she'd even started bringing friends to the lake house on weekends again. The family dinners were filled with laughter once more, and Sarah treasured every moment. As Jake looked up from under the hood of Emma's car and caught Sarah's eye through the window, he smiled. Not the cautious, guarded smile of the past months, but the warm, genuine smile she remembered from their early years together. Sarah smiled back, raising her coffee mug in a small toast to their second chance. They had learned that love wasn't just about passion and excitement. It was about choosing each other every day, about honesty even when it hurt, and about the quiet satisfaction of building something lasting together. The lake house stood as a testament to their commitment, not just to each other, but to the family they'd almost lost and fought to save. Outside, Emma laughed as she successfully completed the oil change under her father's proud guidance. The sound carried across the water, mixing with the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. It was, Sarah thought, the most beautiful sound in the world. The sound of a family healing, growing stronger, and moving forward together. Thank you for your viewing. See you next time. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to JK Tells a Story for more tales.